long foretold the return of the mountain spirits. They have said that they would cleanse the desert, that the weak would fall under the teeth of dogs. But they never foretold of this. We had no idea that we would become their prey.
The story for Prey is really a kind of a layered, complex one. On one layer, we've got this alien abduction theme going on, kind of a fire in the sky type of horror abduction story. But the game is very much about the character of Tommy. And Tommy is this Cherokee warrior. He was an Army Ranger, went off to war, he's come back. He's really rejected his culture and his heritage. He really loves his girlfriend, Jenny, and she's this real light in his life. He wants to convince her to get off the reservation and go off and adventure with him. And she really does respect and embrace her culture and heritage in a way that Tommy doesn't. And then all of a sudden they're caught up in this turmoil of this alien abduction that's going on all around. The sphere is this living ship. It's kind of based on the theory of a Dyson sphere, which is a world that surrounds a sun, an artificial world. But in this case, it's a living world, and the sun that at its heart is this tiny energy source. And the sphere is alive, it's a living creature. And it goes from place to place, world to world, kind of just reaving people from the world and using it for its own purposes. The sphere has come to Earth and started taking people aboard, but you can still see when Tommy's traveling through the innards of this living thing, every once in a while he'll be able to see out and see the Earth beyond the sphere. So that we wanted to remind the player that there's this constant threat, that the world is under threat by this thing. What we want to do is mix up the environments of the world. So you've got some areas that are tech, you've got some areas that are flesh, you've got some areas that are a mixture, and then you've got these outdoor areas. And then we also take you outside the sphere to this spiritual realm where you visit your grandfather who teaches you about your Cherokee heritage.
One of the abilities we've added in the game is to try to keep kind of a natural Cherokee feel to things, is we want to give the player the ability to astral project. Spirit walking is what we call it. And what it is the player can leave his body for brief periods of time, step out of his body and walk around in spirit form. His body remains where he left it and is still vulnerable. So if creatures come across your body, or if you attack creatures and they're aware that you're there, they might run for your body and try to attack it. If your body is attacked, you'll be pulled back to it and a lot more damage will be done to you as opposed to if you just were hit normally. Now when you leave your body, we're using that for a lot of different types of puzzles as well.
We also use the environment of the ship in combat quite a bit. We created these very complex combat sequences where the creatures really know how to use the environment around them, where they can disappear behind folds of the flesh within the ship, and the combat kind of drags out to a point where it's much more challenging than just something jumps out and you shoot it.
In Prey, we're trying to add a lot of new gameplay on top of just the normal run and gun type of stuff. So one of the big ones is gravity changing. We've got total control over flipping gravity and modifying it however we want, where you'll be in the game and you'll be running along and you'll be able to flip gravity and suddenly you're on the ceiling, suddenly you're on the walls. And gravity is used not only for like navigation type of puzzles, but also there might be like secrets up on the ceiling or secrets on the walls. After you've killed all the creatures in the room, you can find a way to get yourself on the ceiling, get yourself on the walls in order to get that stuff. Deathwalking is one of the features that I'm really excited about in the game. What Deathwalk is when you die, in normal games, game over, you're done. In Prey, when you die, you go to this separate world, which we call Deathwalking. And when you're in this world, you have a little mini game you play and you have to fight your way back to earn the right to come back into the game. But the game never stops. Action continues. You're still fighting, you fight your way back, and depending upon how well you do at this game is how much health you'll have when you come back into the normal game. But you come back right where you died. Now, we of course still will support quick load, quick save, but Deathwalk is just another way to keep the game really immersive and continuing without ever really feeling like the game has to stop.
We wanted to make sure that we introduce these new elements, but we don't want to create a game that just turns off the hardcore audience at the same time. So we invented these new features and streamlined actions within the game, but all the time keeping in mind that there's a hardcore audience that demands these things. And so while we're coming up with these new concepts, we're very much keeping in mind and being cognizant of the fact that the hardcore audience isn't going to like it, for instance, if we just threw away quick save. It's just not acceptable. So we're keeping these things in mind and at the same time keeping in mind Xbox 360 development and PC.
Prey is scheduled for release when it's done.